Module Overview. Module 1 sets the comprehensive foundation for the entire course by immersing you in the profound and multifaceted fields of public policy and public administration. This module explores not only the definitions and conceptual frameworks, but also traces the historical evolution, philosophical underpinnings, theoretical debates, and practical applications that define and differentiate these two interlinked but distinct disciplines. By unpacking the complexities of governance, you will gain a panoramic understanding of how governments operate within social, political, and economic contexts to formulate policies that respond to public needs, and then administer these policies effectively to produce desired social outcomes. The module also delves into the role of institutions, actors, and values that shape governance systems, highlighting challenges such as bureaucratic inertia, political interference, ethical dilemmas, and globalization. One defining public policy, concepts, characteristics, and typologies. Comprehensive definitions. Public policy is not simply a statement or a law, but a deliberate, authoritative course of action or inaction adopted by governmental institutions to address specific public problems or opportunities. It embodies collective goals, priorities, and commitments. Characteristics. Goal-oriented, aimed at achieving societal objectives. Authoritative comes from recognized government bodies. Dynamic, evolving based on social changes and feedback. Multidimensional, affects multiple sectors and populations. Complex and contested, often involves conflicts of interest and value trade-offs. Typologies, distributive policies. Allocate resources widely, e.g. infrastructure. Regulatory policies. Restrict or control behaviors, e.g. pollution limits. Redistributive policies. Shift resources from one group to another, e.g. welfare. Constituent policies. Establish or reform government structures and processes. Policy instruments. Mechanisms such as laws, regulations, incentives, subsidies, and public education campaigns used to achieve policy goals. New Public Management, NPM, introduced private sector management practices for efficiency and customer orientation. Digital era governance, leveraging ICTs to transform service delivery and citizen engagement. Public versus private administration, distinctions in accountability, goals, and constraints between government and business management. 3. The nexus between public policy and public administration. Policy formulation versus implementation. While elected officials and legislators focus on designing policies, public administrators are responsible for implementation, interpretation, and adaptation. This relationship is interactive and iterative rather than strictly hierarchical. Policy feedback loop. Administrators provide critical insights and data that inform policy refinement and future agenda setting. Challenges. Implementation gaps, bureaucratic discretion, political pressures, and resource constraints. Politics-administration dichotomy. Debate, traditional view, politics and administration should be separate to prevent politicization. Contemporary view, acknowledge overlap as administrators engage in policymaking and political actors influence administration. 4. The public policy cycle, an analytical framework. Stages explained in detail, agenda setting, identifying and prioritizing societal problems worthy of government attention. Policy formulation, developing policy proposals based on analysis, stakeholder input, and feasibility. Decision-making, official adoption of policies by legislative or executive authority. Implementation, mobilization of resources and actions to realize policy goals. Monitoring and evaluation, systematic assessment of policy performance, outcomes, and impacts. Feedback and learning, using evaluation to inform future policymaking, corrections, or termination. Actors and tools at each stage, political leaders, civil servants, interest groups, media, courts, and citizens. 5 key actors and institutions in public governance. Government branches. Legislature enacts laws and approves budgets. Executive implements laws and manages agencies. Judiciary interprets laws and resolves disputes. Bureaucracy Career civil servants with specialized skills operating within hierarchical structures and governed by rules and procedures. Interest groups in civil society, organized groups representing various societal interests influencing policy agendas and public opinion. Media acts as a watchdog, agenda setter, and information disseminator. Citizens, ultimate sovereigns in democratic governance whose participation and consent legitimize policies. 6 core values and ethical foundations. Accountability, holding public officials responsible for their actions and decisions. Transparency, openness in decision-making processes and access to information. Equity and social justice, fair treatment, non-discrimination, and equal opportunity. Efficiency and effectiveness, optimal use of resources to maximize public value. Responsiveness, ability to meet the needs and preferences of the public promptly. Ethical dilemmas, navigating conflicts between personal values, professional duties, and political directives. Learning outcomes. Upon completing this module, you will possess an extensive and nuanced understanding of the definitions and scope of public policy and public administration. Critically analyze the theoretical foundations and historical evolution of public administration paradigms. Comprehend the interactive relationship between policy formulation and administrative implementation. Apply the policy cycle framework to dissect policy processes and identify stakeholder roles. Appreciate the significance of core public service values and ethical standards.